Will Josh Hader pitch again this season? Do the Astros have enough bullpen arms without him? Should I get a second opinion about this mole on my neck? Is a powerful witch doctor using voodoo to injure the most important Astros players? All of that and more on today's show. Welcome back to Banging the Can, the Houston sports show that does not apologize for championship rings and tings, with new episodes dropping every Monday and Friday, presented by Bolen Media. I am Ross Bolen, and out of all the injuries the Astros have dealt with this season, Josh Hader's shoulder strain might hurt the most. Quickly, if you are watching on youtube.com/@bangingthecan, crush that subscribe button, throw us a like on the video, and when a comment occurs to you over the course of today's show, throw it in the comment section below. All of these things help us grow. Bars. Let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? It was all good just a week ago. On Friday, August 8th, the Astros faced New York for the first of a three-game series at Yankee Stadium. Heading into the ninth, the game is tied 2-2. Joe Espada calls on all-star closer Josh Hader to keep it that way, and keep it that way he does. Then, Joe Espada sends Josh Hader back out there in the bottom of the 10th to secure the win after the Astros put up 3 runs to take a 5-2 lead. It works! The Astros get the win, and everyone is happy. Yay! Unfortunately, it's entirely possible that was the last time we'll see Josh Hader pitch this season, because by Tuesday, it was announced he was dealing with shoulder soreness. So with hindsight, was it a good idea to send Hader back out there for a second inning? Probably not. Should we be blaming Joe Espada for misusing Josh Hader? Probably not. Do I have a spin to make us all feel better about potentially losing one of the most important players on our roster for the remainder of the season? Probably not. By Wednesday, it was announced that Josh Hader would be seeking a second opinion on his strained shoulder, and Joe Espada was dropping ominous quotes like, "This is going to take a little bit longer than the 2 weeks," and suggesting we give Josh his space as he evaluates the severity of his injury. It's almost never good when an athlete is forced to seek a second opinion on an injury. So obviously, we all fear the worst here. And the worst could be a devastating blow to the Astros' chances at making a deep postseason run. Right? Right? Maybe. Just maybe. Because remember, the Astros won the 2017 World Series without a true closer in the postseason. We were running the traitor Ken Giles out there, and he allowed runs in every single one of his World Series appearances. We also used Chris Davinsky, Luke Gregerson, Brad Peacock, and hell, Charlie Morton recorded a 4-inning save in Game 7 to clinch the title. And with Josh Hader sidelined, it's really not all that difficult to identify his de facto replacement from our remaining bullpen arms. It's Brian Abrau. The same Brian Abrau that has been damn near unhittable for big stretches over the last few seasons. The same Brian Abrau that recorded a save and closed out the Red Sox series on Wednesday evening. The same Brian Abrau that has a 1.64 ERA over 54 appearances this season. So yeah, it feels extremely shitty that on top of all the injuries to pivotal players the Astros have endured this season, they lose their star closer for the home stretch of the regular season, while battling in what has become a tight AL West. But is it a death knell for the Astros' chances at a real postseason run? Probably not. You use Brian Abrau as your high-leverage closer. You use Sousa and Okert and Brian King and Caleb Ort and De Los Santos and Sean Dubin as setup men, and you figure it the fuck out. That's where we're at. That's what's going to have to happen. So is it a gut punch to lose Josh Hader, as Joe Espada described it? Yeah, absolutely, of course. He's converted 28 of 29 saves this season, or some crazy shit like that, okay? It hurts. No way around it. But it is nowhere near a back-breaking blow when you consider the following. We've got Spencer Arrighetti back, and he's working off the rust. We've got Christian Javier back, and he looked extremely effective in his start against the Red Sox. Luis Garcia and JP France are both continuing their rehab assignments in Sugar Land for the Space Cowboys and should be on the Astros roster by the end of the month, barring setbacks. Lance McCullers Jr. is making a start in Sugar Land today. Brandon Walter has progressed to the bullpen. The Astros are not lacking in effective big league arms. It's just going to be a matter of GM Dana Brown and manager Joe Espada coming up with a proper plan for how to utilize those arms and fill what is admittedly a massive gap created by the loss of Josh Hader. We've got Framber Valdez and Hunter Brown as our clear-cut 1-2 punch. You've got Christian Javier, Spencer Arrighetti, and Jason Alexander after that. Eventually, JP France and Luis Garcia join that list, plus Lance McCullers Jr. That's 8 starters right there. You really only need, 4 starting pitchers for the playoffs, right? So the question becomes, do we convert one or more of those guys I just named, like LMJ or JP, to bullpen guys for the postseason? Obviously, I don't have the answers right now. Time will tell. But my point is the Astros front office is on the cusp of having a lot of options when it comes to arms, regardless of losing Josh Hader. Now, on the offensive side of things, Yordan Alvarez has been taking BP in Florida and is apparently going to progress to live batting practice this weekend, and Jake Myers is getting close to game action. So yeah, all is well. Nothing to see here. Remain calm. Women and children to the lifeboats first. Everybody chill. Stop freaking out. And stop bringing up Ryan Presley. No disrespect meant to America's closer. Bad news about Josh Hader aside. The Astros took care of business in their 3-game home series against the Boston Red Sox, taking 2 of 3 games after being swept by the Sox in Boston to start August. This was a big series win to make it 3 series wins in a row, by the way, quietly. The Astros did not spoil the return of Carlos Correa to Houston on Monday, winning a great game, highly enjoyable, 7-6 win, despite Alex Bregman hitting a 2-run ding-dong in the first inning to celebrate his first time back in Houston since donning another jersey. As I said, Christian Javier looked extremely impressive. The 2 runs Bregman drove in were the only 2 Javier conceded across 5 innings of work with 5 strikeouts, giving up 3 total hits. Correa drove in a run. Christian Walker drove in 2. Chas McCormick hit a ding-dong. Chaz! He also made a great play in center field. Chaz back. Orris hit his first ding-dong as an Astro as well. A 2-run bomb. Very, very enjoyable Game 1. Game 2 on Tuesday, we don't really need to relive Game 2, do we? Suffice it to say, Spencer Arrighetti looked better. Definitely saw him shaking some of the rust off in real time. He only yielded 2 runs across 5 innings, but this was an absolute beatdown once we got to the bullpen. We had Chas McCormick pitching in the 9th. Chaz hit 80 miles per hour off the bump. Astros lose 14-1, flush it, and move on. Hunter Brown got his 10th win of the season in Game 3 on Wednesday, getting 20 outs while only giving up 1 run. Then Sousa and Abrau closed the door. Astros win the game 4-1 with Jeremy Pena hitting a ding-dong in the first, Yanier Diaz driving in a run in the first as well, and then Yanier hitting a 2-run ding-dong in the bottom of the 6th. Really solid series win against what has proven to be a formidable Red Sox team that should make the wild card. And hey, in other good news, the Mariners finally lost a couple of games against the Baltimore Orioles. So we are back up to a 1.5-game lead in the AL West, leading the division. Shout out to the Mariners for grabbing a share of the division lead for like 24 hours. Very cool. Way to go. So what's next for the Astros in the back half of August? The boys start a 3-game home series against the Orioles tonight. We've got Framber pitching tonight. The Summer of George continues on Saturday with Jason Alexander on the bump, and Christian Javier is scheduled to be the Game 3 starter on Sunday. After the Baltimore series, the Astros head to Detroit to face the first-place Detroit Tigers for 3 games. Detroit trails Toronto by a half game for the best record in the American League. And so, yeah, obviously that will be a big series. After Detroit, we've got another series against the Orioles, this time in Baltimore. This time it's 4 games. Then a 3-game series against the Colorado Rockies at home, and a 3-game series against the Los Angeles Angels at home to close out the month of August. So, if you're the Astros front office, I'd say you hope to win 10 of those 16 games. Like, that would be a very successful stretch, no? The Orioles are a last-place team. The Rockies are a last-place team. The Angels have the 4th worst record in the AL. That's 13 of the last 16 games of August against those teams I just named. Should be a lot of winnable games. Meanwhile, the Mariners will be facing the Mets, Phillies, Athletics, Padres, and Guardians to close out August. Frankly, a lot more losable games. So the Astros' goal, to me, before the end of August, should be to open their division lead back up to somewhere between 4 and 7 games. That's what I am hoping for personally. That would be a very positive outcome. Don't fuck around and blow should-be wins during this stretch, or September is going to get sweaty as hell, and I have enough stress in my life. Do not need a sweaty September. In other Houston sports news, quickly, the Rockets released their 2025-2026 schedule and will play double the amount of nationally televised games as last season. 28 nationally televised games, including the NBA season opener against the Thunder in OKC, and a Christmas Day game against the Lakers. We are so back, baby. We are so back. Love this for the Rockets and our fans. I do have to say, though, their schedule release video featuring some spazzed out dork playing a realtor, running around, giving a tour of what seems to be a multi-million-dollar house was one of the most cringeworthy things I've ever seen. If you've got little kids, you recognized the serious blippy energy this guy was giving off. I made it 30 seconds in before I had to close this video, step outside, slap myself across the face, and scream into the abyss. Then I forced myself to watch the rest of it because it's my job to talk about this stuff, but I really wish I hadn't. The kid fakes taking a shit at 2 different points in the video on toilets. I hated everything about it. If you haven't watched it, don't. But the good news that came from it is that we now know the entire Rockets 2025-2026 schedule, including those 2 huge games that I just named. It's going to be a very exciting, very fun Rockets season, obviously the first with Kevin Durant, and the first time since the James Harden era that we can reasonably say that we have championship expectations. Very, very, very exciting stuff. That will do it for today's show. But remember, we have new episodes dropping every Monday and Friday to start and end your week on youtube.com/@bangingthecan. Crush the subscribe button, ring the bell to turn on notifications so you are notified immediately when new episodes drop. And please, let me hear from you in the comments. I want to know what you think about the Astros situation, about Josh Hader, about the Rockets schedule, and the insane social media release that they did. If you're listening on podcast platforms, rate and review. On that same note, please share the most unapologetic Houston sports show in existence with your friends and family. Follow us on social media @BangingTheCan on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter. I am Ross Bolen. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram @WRBolen. Those are the 2 social sites on which I'm most active, @WRBOLEN. I'll be back Monday to discuss the results of the Astros 3-game series against the Orioles. Enjoy your weekend. Until next time, H-Town, stay down.